Why are home renovations so expensive? Let's talk about it. Welcome to Reno Recon. I'm Rosanna. I am not a licensed professional in the home renovation industry. I am a television producer who's worked on popular home reno shows over the last 15 years, and I've seen, learned, and guided homeowners through a lot, and I figured I'd share some of that in case it's helpful for anyone. People get really shocked to find out how much a home reno costs, which is why I decided to make this video. Even if you're doing something relatively small, like a custom wall unit around a TV or fireplace, super popular request, that can run you anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000 or more in a modest-sized home. I know. So here's the short answer as to why home renovations are so expensive. Skilled people and materials are expensive. It takes a lot of hands to get a renovation done. Kind of like the cost of cars, there's a whole range of what you can get depending on how much you want to spend. Home renos are a for-profit business. Now, I don't know what you do or make for a living, but I'm going to guess that the cost of your expenses to do your job are relatively small compared to what stays in your wallet at the end of the day. Home reno and contractors are no different. A home is the biggest investment most people make in their lives. People who know how to design, build, and fix them aren't cheap. Okay, so before I get too deep into it, I want to have a disclaimer about gender pronouns. I refer to contractors as male. In my experience over the last 15 years, men dominate the building side of this industry. No one I know in it is surprised to hear that. So for simplicity of this video, I will refer to contractors as he or him. A general contractor is the person you're going to hire to run your renovation. Part of what you're paying for are their operating costs and responsibilities. So there's insurance, tools and equipment, repair and maintenance of them. They're expensive. A licensed general contractor typically has a team he's trying to keep employed to maintain a successful business. He's got other guys he can call on that he doesn't need all the time, like stonemason or a landscaper. But generally how it works is a contractor is trying to line up project after project to know, over the course of the year, he and his team are good. They've made what they need to make to be profitable at the end of it. So they're going to shop around for the best projects, typically bigger ones, so that they're longer in duration and they don't have to do as many in a year. Everybody likes a steady gig. It's predictable. It's a guaranteed amount of income to a certain point. You don't have to change things up. And when you've been doing it year after year, that's a nice way to go. This is why small jobs tend to still be expensive. It takes about the same amount of time and energy to line up a bunch of gigs versus a handful. So it's much more worth a contractor's time to line up big gigs. The general contractor has to coordinate and manage everybody else. That's your demolition team, electrician, plumber, framer, drywaller, and so on. He's scheduling everybody and getting the timing right, inspecting their work, and running quality control. And it all takes time. Time is money. That's a lot of guys and a lot of personalities. I don't know if you've ever had to run a team of adult men and be their boss, but it ain't easy. And it takes a lot of energy and stress. Plus, everyone's working under the contractor's insurance and it's his reputation. Every subcontractor or tradesperson charges the contractor their fee, and then the contractor charges you a cost on top of that to take a cut for doing all of that managing work. You can look up what a general laborer, electrician, or plumber in your area typically charges per hour if you want to get an idea. In terms of how much contractors decide to charge, experienced contractors have a general idea of how much a project is going to cost depending on the size and scope. The more refined the scope of work, the more accurate your estimate will be. A good contractor will get his trades to the site, get their estimates, and then run his own numbers for materials and labor. A lot of contractors price out a project and then add a percentage on top of the subtotal to calculate what they'll make on it, some up to 30%. You might see that line written in black and white on the bottom of your estimate when you get it, or it could be buried within the project itself. The contractor also has to manage you. And let's face it, most clients aren't easy. None of us wants to think of ourselves as a pain in the but we ask a lot of questions, we're checking in, we're nitpicking, and well, time is money. Home renovation work takes a lot of skill and experience. It's also very hard, back-breaking work that often causes injuries. These guys don't typically work till standard retirement age, and they're self-employed, so they've got to make enough to cover themselves. They often have to work in unpleasant conditions, stinking hot, freezing cold, pouring rain, slugging it out, and it costs something. It costs a lot, actually. Most people aren't willing to do that kind of work for a few hours, never mind day in and day out. And they do it every day doesn't mean you shouldn't have to pay for it. Quality materials are expensive. That's not a surprise to anyone. But a lot of people expect that a contractor is going to spend tons of time hunting high and low to get them the best deal on everything. And that's just not the case. Like, what's in it for him to do that for you? Don't get me wrong. A lot of contractors, they are looking for good deals. They know where to get stuff. But researching and sourcing materials is so time consuming. It's not just looking up stuff online, which takes time, but it's driving around, picking up samples, seeing and feeling things in person. And that is a job in and of itself. You can save a lot by doing this legwork on your own. If you've gone through my 3 steps and you're at the stage of consulting a contractor, ask where they get their materials from and what the typical cost is. Like, where do you get your flooring from? Then you can hunt around looking for a similar product and see if you can get it cheaper. I'll do another video on things you can do as a homeowner to bring the cost of your reno down. Contractors usually have their trusted suppliers. They know where they can go and get a discount, where they can get the amount of product they need, when they can get it on time or do a rush order. They have preferences for products based on their habits, like how close by it is to pick up, and on their experience by how easy it is to install or how well it stands up over time. A good contractor is going to be open to your product suggestions, or at least communicate what it is that he doesn't like about it if he doesn't want to use it. They appreciate being introduced to new products because they don't have the time to do all of that shopping. For example, when I got my apartment renovated, my brother-in-law Ryan was my contractor. I chose and purchased most of the materials with the help of my husband, who is an architect and designer. So yeah, it makes it easier. But still, I had an idea of what kitchen company I wanted to use. I got them to install it. When it came to the flooring, I decided to go with a luxury vinyl plank that we used a lot on Scott's Vacation House Rules. I loved the look of it. The installers seemed to like it. Homeowners gave it great reviews, and it was the right price. So Ryan installed it, and I asked him how he liked it. He wasn't crazy about how it installed. It was a little bit rigid. He found it susceptible to cracks and breaks, so I probably went through a few more boards. But at the end of it, he liked the overall look. I don't know if he'd use it again, but all to say, have these conversations with your contractor. Be open and welcome the feedback. There's probably a reason why he wants to use or doesn't want to use something. Staying in line with market prices is another reason why home renos are so expensive. Why would a skilled person do something for so much less than someone else?
If you're good at something, never do it for free.
They don't want to be known as the cheap guy or the guy who undercuts other contractors' prices. For a freelance or contract worker, this is an unspoken code of conduct. If you're still someone who thinks all a contractor is trying to do is roll you over, maybe try this perspective. Think about what minimum wage is wherever you live. Think about how many people it takes to do a kitchen, for example, which can take about every trade or subcontractor imaginable. You've got electrician, plumber, framer, drywaller, millworker, tiler. The list can go on. Take that number of people, let's just call it 7. Multiply it by 8 hours a day for 2 weeks at minimum wage. And this is just labor. This has nothing to do with materials. Skilled tradespeople are a lot more expensive than that, like 4, 5, 6 times more expensive. Maybe that'll get you realizing why it has to cost so much. Another reason home renovations are expensive is what's unknown, the unexpected work or surprises that show up. Even if a contractor suspects a problem, the extent of the work isn't always apparent when he's writing up your estimate. If you're opening up walls, floors, ceilings, get ready to use that contingency fund. Here are some parting tips. If you're considering a home renovation, ask yourself if you actually need a licensed contractor to do the work for you. Maybe you just need a handyman or handywoman, handy person. For example, if you want that wall unit, consider doing something prefab like from IKEA that you can assemble yourself, and then getting a handyman or even a carpenter to do some of the customization for you so that it looks custom and built in. I typically recommend doing all the updates in your home at the same time so that you get the biggest bang for your buck and go through the fewest headaches. But if money's really tight or you're really nervous, try starting out with a small space. Choose a low stakes room like a living room or a dining room where there isn't as much to do. Go through my 3 steps as a guideline. The more experience you have, the better prepared you're going to be for that big update that's going to cost you more. You'll know what questions to ask, you'll be more comfortable doing it, you'll be more comfortable standing up for yourself, and it won't be so new. Be realistic with your expectations. Everyone wants the best quality for the cheapest price. Do some research, take a look at the cost of materials, see what's in your price range. Take clothes, for example. If you've watched this video till now, you're probably old enough to know that if you go into a store like Gucci, you're not going to find a $400 jacket. If that's what you want to spend, you're going to go to a cheaper store. Same for home reno. Okay, that is enough for one day. If you found this video helpful, please consider giving it a like, dropping a comment, and subscribing to my channel. I'll see you next time.